The rules of engagement are changing for Steve Rogers and his old foe, the Red Skull. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Captain America issue number 28 and find out together, shall we? So then, this issue actually opens up with Sin having a conversation with Alexa Luke, and this is interesting because these two characters really haven't interacted that much over the last 20-odd issues. Alexa, who is still very much the big bad of this Ta-Nehisi Coates era, comes at Cynthia in a way no one else probably has before, and that is, well, as a mother figure. Alexa says that she believes that Sin is capable of so much more than everyone thinks that she is, and that she could very easily leave her father's shadow. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Alexa Lukin was one of the founders of the Daughter of Liberty and is used to inspiring young ladies like Sin. In fact, this whole conversation feels very much similar to the scene wherein Lukin actually recruited Peggy Carter back in the day. Sin gets sent away on a special mission, which basically involves getting all of the Red Skull's new internet followers out of their mother's basements, out of the chat rooms, and onto the actual battlefields as a brand new incarnation of the Skeleton Crew. At first, they don't actually respect Sin because, well, shocker, they hate women on top of all the other things they hate, but once Sin kills one of them, it's easy enough to get the rest to fall in line. From there, we transition on over to Steve Rogers. He's at the hospital looking over all of the people who were injured in the bomb explosion at the end of the previous issue. Here's the thing, even though a lot of people were hurt, not all of them are dead. This was very clearly some sort of special explosion, and a lot of the people caught in it are still very much alive, just in blinding, agonizing pain. One of these people also just so happens to be the brother of a cop who is friendly with Steve Rogers, as the detective says everyone in his family had become a cop, except for this kid. He lost himself online, got radicalized by the Red Skull, and came out the other end as a real-deal homegrown terrorist. As Steve says, he's not completely unsympathetic to these young men's plight. After all, before Steve Rogers joined up for the draft, he too was a sickly, weak, lost young man who could very easily, if had he lived in the modern era, ended up buying into all this neo-Hydra rhetoric. After all, people like the Red Skull work very hard to make sure that their message is enticing, that you're not weak, you're strong, it's everyone else's fault, it's not yours, and something is being taken away from you, and if you were a real man, you would stand up and protect it. In fact, even the Red Skull himself is kind of amazed how easy it is to recruit followers from the internet, and again, we get some titles of some of his videos like What Did Bismarck Know? And Barbarians at the Gate, which sounds all too familiar to the real racist rhetoric that gets peddled online by grifters every single day. Schmidt further goes on to say what he's really trying to do here is build his own counterpoint to Captain America's idea of the dream, his own American nightmare, if you will. After all, give a man a dream worth fighting for and he'll die 10 times over for it. Give a man a nightmare to be afraid of and oh, he'll kill hundreds of men for it. Cap and his crew try and dig a little deeper into the bomb threat, and they realize that what they're dealing with isn't science fiction, but in fact magic. Luckily, they have Agatha Harkness here to give her own witchy insight. Turns out what Lukin and the Red Skull are actually doing is weaponizing an old magic tactic used by the Daughters of Liberty. Agatha Harkness had created a spell that basically pumped up morale amongst soldiers when they needed it. Here, the Skull has basically turned the spell in on itself. Now it actually draws from the power of hatred and suffering, which is why all the victims in these explosions haven't died yet. Skull is literally siphoning off their agony to recharge his old cosmic cube. This means Captain America and Sharon Carter are going to have to move fast, as the Red Skull has several more anti-Captain America rallies happening all over the country right now. Sharon is supposed to go into the crowd and make sure another riot doesn't break out with her Iron Patriot suit, while Steve goes after Sin. And you know what? Apparently Alexa's little heart-to-heart with Sin really paid off, because the daughter of Red Skull is fighting harder than she ever has before, fighting like she has something to prove. Of course, this was a battle Sin was never actually meant to win. She was only ever meant to stab Steve with a poison dagger, causing him to lose his balance in the fight and get rushed by the new Skeleton Crew. This, of course, ends up playing directly into Red Skull's hand, who videotapes this whole beatdown and uses it as another talking point for his next big video essay. See, look, Captain America is weak. He's not the man you thought he was. You should respect me and not him. Captain America had to be saved by a woman. The irony, of course, in this situation being that Alexa Lukin is the one who's been pulling the strings of all of this since the beginning, and Sin actually did the heavy lifting in this scenario, but you know he's not going to mention that. The good guys managed to avert another disaster, but it's not a good feeling win. Steve says that this isn't the first time he's ever lost, let alone lost publicly, but he'll go back and hit it harder next time. It's Sharon, though, that's thinking that Steve doesn't really understand what's at stake here. Red Skull and his people just aren't trying to kill him like normal. They're trying to kill his image, kill the dream, destroy the very fabric of what makes Captain America, and do it from the inside out without barely having to lift a finger. And it's on that note right there, everybody, the comic comes to a close. And so that was Captain America issue number 28, the next part of what will ultimately end up being Ta-Nehisi Coates' final run on this series. And you certainly can't say the man isn't going all out for his last hurrah, what with bringing back the Red Skull, the Cosmic Cube, as well as tying it all back together with the whole Daughters of Liberty concept that really, when you stop and think about it, made up the backbone of the whole Coates era of Captain America. There's something so obvious and yet also kind of genius about having the Red Skull and Hydra embrace the internet in the same way a lot of real hate groups and hate grifters have embraced the internet, and having Captain America ultimately be a little lost about how to combat this threat because, well, in reality, in the real world, we also haven't figured out how to combat that threat either. I just really hope they can stick the landing on this one because, again, as it stands right now, I don't know how you actually end a story like this. Ultimately, I'd give this one another 8 out of 10. It's some solid Sorkin-ass political drama starring Captain America. What more could I ask for? Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.